You were the one, Chris, who was like yesterday, like, this is the guy we should get on. I'm like, how the hell did I not think of that myself?
I knew it.
I mean, this is the man. He is the man. You can listen to Mad Dog Sports Radio on the Mad Dog Sports Radio channel on Sirius XM. You can hear and watch him every day on High Heat on MLB Network as well, and on his show, his famed Super Bowl contest, where you can win a trip down to the Super Bowl, get a chance to get a pair of tickets to Super Bowl 54 on his show. He is none other than Chris Mad Dog Russo. How are you, Christopher?
Hello there, Richard. How's my main man? Good?
I am doing fine. What do you think of the trash can stuff or the buzzing stuff and all this stuff?
The Astros, what a joke. I mean, I'll tell you right now, and how come the Astros haven't said a word in the last 5-6 days? All Bregman does is hang out at Craig's in Hollywood. He knocked Nathan Eovaldi 2 years ago. He's got a lot to say. How about Verlander kicking media guys out of the clubhouse because he doesn't like Anthony Fennick of the Detroit Free Press? You remember that story in the summertime. Altuve, Correa, Springer, Mr. Connecticut, and, of course, Gurriel, all cheated their rear ends off, and I haven't heard a word out of them. They're an arrogant, cocky team, and not a peep in the last 4 or 5 days. Good job by Manfred. I have no problem not naming the players. I think it's actually better because now we can, the whole team gets branded with this. Obviously, Crane had to do what he did. The Mets, finally, they had no choice with Beltran. How Brody Van Wagenen spent 8 hours with him before November 1st, not asking him about the whole thing with the Astros. We all knew that this was a possibility. Is mind-boggling to me. It's an ugly story. The one thing I would say, to be fair, I don't want to hear from the Dodgers about how they got ripped off. The Dodgers lost 2 games in that World Series in their ballpark. They lost Game 2 when Jansen couldn't hold a 4-3 lead in the 9th inning when Gonzalez hit a home run. Astros were not cheating on the road. And then Darvish laid an egg and, basically, peed all over himself in Game 7, if I can say that, when Springer hit a couple of home runs, and that was in his home ballpark. The Yankees, to me, have a better case because the Yankees won 3 games in their park in the ALCS in 2017 and then lost 4 games in Houston. So if anybody's got a better case to scream and yell, it's the Yankees. And how about Girardi? If Girardi lost his job because of that series, if they had won that series and they had gotten to the World Series, Aaron Boone would not be managing the Yankees today. So the story's got a lot of tentacles. It's not going away anytime soon. And the Astros are going to have to figure out as a group, the players, how they're going to handle this the first day of spring training. They can't ignore it forever. Somebody's going to have to be the team leader and say, you know what, we were wrong as a group. And so far, that has not been done. We'll see how they do that in a month.
All right, Chris, you said a lot there. Let me unpack it a little bit at a time. First things first, I was at Craig's Wednesday night. I didn't see Bregman there.
I did last year. Go ahead. I love you.
All right, that's number one. Number two, why are you happy that they didn't name any of the players? Because a lot of the players that you just said about the Astros may not have actually done this.
Well, tough.
I
mean, that provides peer pressure. That means if there is a guy who's clean with Houston, I got to figure, and not just clean, had no idea this was going on. It's one thing not to use this as an aid when you got to the plate, but allowing this to go on when you know it was wrong. As the Astros, even the players who may have not used it, that's wrong too. But I like the idea that the Astro players now get grouped as a unit, and it's not just 2 or 3 guys we can yell and scream about. Furthermore, I know people have moaned and groaned about that. You know what that issue would have been for the commissioner's office if Tony Clark got his hand on this? Clark would have appealed this to no end. This would have taken forever. They got Ryan Braun off a few years ago, if you remember that story, because of that appeal process with the drugs. This would have taken forever to get settled, and Manfred did not want this in the newspapers for 7 months with some arbiter who likes to see all the notoriety he gets. Look how long this Bryant arbitration dopey hearing is taken with the arbiter. So the idea, I think he wanted to stay away from that. He wanted to handle the positions of authority. He did that and then let the Astro players squirm. So I understand other people say, let's name them, let's put them all in some trouble. But in this way, in a lot of ways, it makes it better because now the whole group gets nailed. And so there are going to be some infighting. Hold on now, guys. Why am I getting accused of this? I didn't do this. So that actually causes friction with the franchise. I have no problem with Manfred not telling anybody not telling us who the players were.
Chris Mad Dog Russo here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then, you make a good point that that some teams have a certain leg to stand on when complaining about how it's affected them and others don't. The Yankees did lose 4 games in that ALCS all in Houston, but the first game they only scored 2.
Right.
And then the second game, if you remember, that was when Verlander was throwing seeds and they couldn't
Good boy,
hit him.
Rich. I mean, you caught me.
So no, but I'm not doing that just to quote unquote catch. It's just
I know. The Astros didn't hit in that series. Is your basic point?
Well, my basic point is we just don't know what was used, when it was used, when it wasn't used, or to what effect it was possibly used. We just know it was used and it stinks. And that may be one of the things, too, why the Mets went and hired Beltran, is because everybody was doing it. And that's the other thing. Like, how rampant has this been in Major League Baseball? Because it sure seems like as we're watching the games, you and I as fans, about ball strikes, and where, I'm sitting here every day complaining about the shift and how that's affecting baseball. What's really been affecting baseball is the cheating. And who's effective at it and who isn't.
Who knows how many teams are doing this, on a day-to-day basis. I did have Terry Francona on yesterday on the TV, and I asked him specifically that very question. He said, Chris, I can't answer for anybody else, but on my soul, we do not do this nonsense. And if I saw it, I would have stopped it. I've been around long enough to know that this is not the right thing to do. So take it for what it's worth. I mean, you wouldn't think the Yankees would be doing this because they've been screaming left and right. You wouldn't think the Dodgers are doing this because they obviously down deep are very annoyed. I had Dodger people tell me at the winter meetings, what's my retribution? All I got to listen to is 1988 left and right. What do I get for this 2017 nonsense? So, you like to think it's not rampant in the sport. Your guess is as good as mine. But the most important thing here is that Manfred sent out a message. Guys, you don't think I'm serious with those 2 memorandums I sent out in September of 17 and then the following March, and you embarrass me by basically ignoring them and making me look bad? I'll show you. So now everybody's on notice that if you get nailed with this, you're going to get destroyed. So I agree with you. I can't pinpoint, nobody can, the usage with all the teams for a long period of time, but I'd be shocked if anybody does it now. I really would. Why would you go through that nonsense? And the Mets had to fire Beltran. I don't know how they had to fire Beltran. The Red Sox had to do the same with Cora. Crane had no choice to.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how the Beltran stuff's playing in New York. How's it playing in the city?
I think most people. I think the issue with Beltran there, Rich, is that the fans are really getting on Von Wagenen. He doesn't have a lot of collateral to begin with, and I think the idea that he interviewed Beltran for basically 8-9 straight hours and didn't get to the bottom of the Astro thing in late October, early November, and then of course 8 days or 10 days later that athletic story comes out. I think how in the world Brody said he didn't ask him the questions, so. People are written, they don't love Brody anyway. So the idea that I think Brody is taking the hits. Beltran is Beltran. Met fans don't love Beltran one way or the other. That postseason series when he struck out looking with Wainwright still bothers some diehard Met fan. So the Met fan, I think, is okay with Beltran going. I think now they're worried about Van Wagenen. And they don't love the Wilpons, as you know.
Right. I do know that. Yeah. Chris Mad Dog Russo here. And again, just to put this one item to bed before I just quickly ask you about the Championship Sunday, is that now all of us as fans, we're looking to see, like we're parsing home run trots like it's the Zapruder film, right? We're looking at
how about
Altuve
the Altuve homer against Chapman,
right? And he's holding his jersey.
Right.
He's holding his jersey because we all are thinking like, okay, so the trash can stuff's been out the window. Now they're trying to actually wear a device where they can get buzzed about the type of pitch that's coming. And for sure, for somebody who's throwing 100 miles an hour like Chapman, for somebody to yank an off-speed pitch like he knew it was coming is the only other phrase to put it, and is running around the bases holding on to, please don't rip my jersey off. I mean, the whole thing does kind of stink to high heaven, Christopher, and
Good
I'm not
point.
really...
I have not seen that video, but I know a lot of Yankee fans are very annoyed by that. Now, it was a lousy pitch. He could have made contact, but he did hit the ball 480 feet. I understand, and that bothers the Yankee fan. The Yankee fan already got squeezed out 2 years ago, and they're making it big. I also heard Springer may have had wires or something. So, again, once you cheat once, you're never going to get the benefit of the doubt out again. So the Astros, I got to see the video. Is it that stark with
he's coming around third. He's coming around third, and they're all ready to just jump on him at home plate. And he's pointing at his jersey, don't take it off. And he holds onto it as he gets into the pig pile. And again, the word is that he's shy. He doesn't want to have, his T-shirt shown.
That's hard to believe.
You know what I mean? It's just the whole thing. And so I just want to go to a game with my kids and say, okay, it's 1-2. The reason why the batter's stepping out is he needs to think about what pitch sequence this pitcher might be doing. And the reason why the pitcher's throwing this is because he used to throw him that. Now I'm wondering, is he waiting for a whistle? Is he waiting for a bang? Is he waiting for a buzz? Is the pitcher stepping off because he can't figure out whether there is a whistle or a bang or a buzz? And that's the sort of cat and mouse crap that I'm not going to the stadium for, Chris.
100%. And that's one of the reasons why these games take forever with all these mound visits and everything else. Listen, I'm with you 100%. Listen, the baseball looks, in a funny way, it's actually helped baseball because I think we were waiting for a watershed moment for Manfred. I think, he'd been a commissioner for 3 years. We haven't had that watershed moment for him. And I think he did a good job.
Me too.
Some people think he didn't go far enough with Crane. Should have named players, as you mentioned. But I think, he came down pretty hard here. He did suspend 3 men. Cora's out. Forget that. He definitely sent a message to the Mets about Beltran.
He sure did.
Lunau's never going to work again. Hinch gets a year. He fined him $5 million. He took away 4 picks, first and second rounders, 2 years in a row. I think he did a pretty good job. But I know there are some people who didn't think he went quite far enough. I have no problem with it. I think he did. He also outlined his discipline well. It was 9 pages. He was very thorough. Remember, this is a guy that went to Harvard Law School, Cornell, and then Harvard. He's no dummy. He's a lawyer. He crossed his T's, dotted the I's. I think he came across well, so I think it actually helps him. And as far as the sport is concerned, let's face it, Rich, you're having me on today, Friday before the championship game,
right,
breaking down the Astros. Now, I know it's negative news, but it does get baseball on the back burner for a little while, on the front burner for a little while, which is not bad.
All right, so next week on Mad Dog Unleashed, you're going to be giving away a chance to win a pair of, you're going to be giving away a pair of tickets to Super Bowl 54, people answering your NFL trivia questions. I've always loved hearing that for years. So what do you think happens Sunday, Christopher? What do you think?
I think there'll be one close game, and I think there'll be one game that the home team will play well in and, dominate. So I will go Chiefs easy, 27-10, something along those lines. And I think the Niners and Packers might be a little closer than you think. I think the fact the Packers got killed out there the first time will help them. I also think the Niners could get a little tight. I don't know why I think that with Garoppolo, but I do. First championship game. They're close to getting to a Super Bowl. Chiefs were in this spot last year at home, losing to the Pats. I think that helps them some. So I actually think the Kansas City is going to win. Andy Reid is due. He's been down this path 1,000 times. So I think I think Kansas City will win easy. I think that San Francisco Green Bay game will close. Now I got to take San Francisco. They're home and they're better. They got a good defense. The banged up receiving core. You got to take the Niners, but I think that game will be close, Rich, to be honest with you.
And what do you think happens with Brady? That's the other big story.
I think he just bought a house in Greenwich for $50 million in Connecticut.
Really?
He's telling me he's buying a house in Greenwich and he's going to play for the Chargers. I just don't. And take his kids out of school. I just do not see that. I think that Brady will probably stay with the Pats. So now that McDaniel's going to have to stay with the Pats and his buddy's there, of course, and the offensive coordinator, I think at the end of the day he'll stay with New England.
All right, Christopher, thanks for the time. I'll always look forward to seeing you at the Super Bowl.
Looking forward to it, Rich. You got that seat right next to me anytime you want.
I love going on Mad Dog Unleash and having you hold me accountable for NFL decisions I have nothing to do with.
You do that top 100. We're going to have a lot of chatter about that.
Okay.
I promise you.
I look forward to that. Thank you, Christopher.
See you, boys.
All right, that's Chris Mad Dog Russo, Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius XM, right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.